How many of you spend time dealing with day-to-day problems? Been there, done that. Seems as though everything is just falling in on you, and you're the only one who can make the decision. Been there, done that. And how many of you greet the end of the day feeling as though, man, I didn't get much done today at all? And it seems like it's just happening all the time. If you know you need answers to this, you're in the right place. And if you're the principal and you want to see things change, then you are going to have to make some changes. And change comes through cultural change. So if you want your school to be known as a success story, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 ways to turn your school into a success powerhouse. Welcome to another episode of Principals on the Come Up, where we transform schools into a hallelujah success stories. How many of you want to see the change? How many of you understand that in order to see a change, it has to be a cultural change? And how many of you just don't know how to make that culture change? Well, we'll be looking at ways to create that change. So my name is Dr. Barbara Polk, and I'm known as a turnaround principal. I was assigned to one of the lowest performing campuses in my district, and it was also one of the lowest performing campuses in the state of Texas. We were able to turn that school around with some excellent teachers, with some excellent help, with some push, with some teamwork. And throughout the 8 years that I was principal at that school never returned to low performing. I was also assigned by the Texas Education Agency to go into low performing campuses that have been assigned by the state and turn those campuses around. And yes, we do have some hallelujah success stories out there. I was also chosen by the Harvard Graduate School of Education, their Urban School Institute, to go and figure out ways with people who were like-minded, people from the United States, people from other countries, so that we could talk about what we needed to do to make sure that all students were given the opportunity to be successful. But before I begin, I want you to hit that share button if you are on Facebook. And if you are on YouTube, I want you to hit the subscribe button. Now, you have some friends out there who are struggling. You know who they are. Y'all talk all the time. You're sharing information. You know exactly what needs to be done. So share this information with them. I guarantee you, once you hear this information, it is going to change your life forever. Because I know I learned how to do this. And this has changed the way I operated as a principal. So before we get started again, I want to know who's out there. If you are a principal, in the chat, I want you to just put the word principal in there. And if you are an assistant principal, just put AP in the chat. If you are an instructional coach, just put IC. If you are a teacher leader, just put teacher leader or TL in the box so that we can see who we have out there and who we're talking to. So while we get that done, we're going to be talking today about 3 things to save you time during the day. That's right. Improve test scores. And you can't do a cultural change without your test scores improving. And change your culture. So you say, well, culture it's just something that I just can't put my fingers on. How do I change the culture? Is it necessary to change the culture? Well, if you are having problems just doing things day to day and feeling at the end of the day that you haven't succeeded, then you need to have a culture change. And there are 3 things that we're going to be looking at. The first one is a trust system. That's right, a trust system. You have to develop a leadership team. And if you have developed a leadership team, then you're not using that leadership team properly. If you're having to deal with issues day to day problems always end up on your desk. You are handling those day-to-day operations because you think no one else can do it as well as you can. And you know, you're probably right. You're probably right. However, when you develop your team, you are going to have to turn things over to them. And you cannot turn things over to your team unless you have a trust system. A trust system. You want to do everything yourself. So you have to have a trust system. You have to have a moral purpose, a belief that all students can succeed. Well, what does that have to do with anything? A moral purpose and a belief that all students can succeed. That's your guide. That's your vision. That's why you want to turn things over to your leadership team. So when you trust your team and you trust that your team can make good decisions, you don't have to handle day-to-day operations. The other thing is that you have to nurture your leadership team. You have to treat your team with respect, whether they're right or they're wrong. And let me tell you, your team is going to be wrong a lot of times. That's just part of the process. I remember we had a dance teacher, certified dance teacher, and we were so happy we got a certified dance teacher. She had run, her own company, and she graduated from a local university. She was certified. We were a predominantly school of color, and she just happened to be a different color, a different shade. She was white, and she was entering another kind of culture. So the problem was that she told the girls that on Friday night, she wanted them all to have their hair up in ponytails. And then on Saturday morning, when they were going through a special presentation out of town, she wanted all their hair down. And this parent was just so upset. She was livid. She went to that assistant principal and she said, "You better do something with her. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know how to work with these African-American girls. I don't know who she thinks she is." So what did our assistant principal do? Well, she did just what the parent told her to do. Okay? So I find out about it when it's just all blown up, all out of proportion. So yes, we are going to meet. We are going to meet with that teacher. We are going to meet with that parent. And that assistant principal is going to be there. But guess what? That teacher is not going to be there. That was something that, as the principal, I have inside information. I know that it's going to take me to be able to work with this teacher and with my assistant principal to get things changed. You have to stand and support your people, even in the midst of them making mistakes. And they are going to make mistakes. So what you have to do, you have to provide them with opportunities to grow. I mean, as a principal, who was there for you when you were an assistant principal, when you made mistakes? And you, as the principal, you are the one who's making the change in that culture. And you can only change the culture as you develop the leaders on that campus. You have to ask questions. Don't give answers. That's another thing. You think that you are just at the top of the world and you have all of the answers. And when you are addressed by your assistant principal and or your lead teacher and they don't know what to do, so they say they're going to come to you and you're going to show them that you just know everything. Well, you are robbing them of an opportunity. So when they ask you questions, then you ask them questions about the questions. Don't give them the answer. Let them struggle. Let them struggle to come up with the answer and then come back to you This is building the trust. This is showing that I trust you. You're part of my leadership team. We're going to bring changes here. I'm going to quit being the ones to deal with day-to-day problems every day. Principal, you have to understand that you are not the sage on the stage. It is not about you. It is about all of those people who are surrounding you. As the principal that changes culture, you're developing leaders of the future. Ask them. Ask them to come up with some answers. And then come back to you and y'all can work it out together. The second thing is a belief system. So I'm going to want you to trust me. And I want us to trust each other. So the other thing is that you have to have a good belief system. You have to believe in each other. When you are the principal and you are working with your leadership team, you first have to have, of course, your trust, and then you're going to have a belief system. You have to have a belief system. You are going to have to believe that you can change the culture. And culture is just simply the way you operate your campus. That's all culture is about. The way you operate your campus. So if you are operating your culture, your campus, and you don't have a belief system, then there won't be a cultural change. So you have to believe in the values. You have to believe in the way the school operates. You have to believe that you are here for the students, and everything you do is guided by the children. I'm talking about when you are doing your schedules, when you are doing your cafeteria assignment, when you are doing any decision, making room assignments, all of that is about the change. And the change is a cultural change. This belief is going to guide all of your decisions. This is how it's going to make your principals, assistant principals, your team leaders, this is how they will learn to trust you. And then you will have that belief system to change. And then before you know it, you're going to just see, oh my goodness, things are just really changing because you have focused on the right things at the right time. So let's think about that belief system. Your obligation is to those students. That's right. Your obligation is to the students. And once you see that your moral compass is one that's bringing about the change, then your belief system is going to show that you believe in these children. You believe that these children are the ones who are going to change this community. These children are going to change the state. These children are going to change the nation. That is your belief system. And once you have that belief system, then your team will understand the direction. You know, it's something that it's almost like it's not even tangible, your belief system. And your belief system is your culture change. And then the next thing you have to have a community system. That's right, a community system. You say, well, you know, what's a community system? A community system is a system where you welcome parents, you respect parents, you understand the community, you welcome the stakeholders. So yes, I know. Do you want to welcome all of your parents? Do some of them come in and they act a fool? Yeah. You're going to have some who are going to do that. But you, as the leader on that campus, you are bringing about change. As the top, people will understand that this principal respects our parents. Now, do you have to put your foot down with some parents? Absolutely. Have I had some stories with parents that where I saw my career flash in front of my face because I was using my emotions to go after a parent who told me to step outside? And I stepped outside. And because I had a good leadership team, they were there to say, come back, come back, come back, come back. That's why we have police on campus, Dr. Pope. Let her go. Let her go. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. I made those mistakes. But at the other end of the spectrum, how about the time when this parent had been called by a teacher? And because we do have local police officers on our campus, and you have a parent who walks in, or you have a sheriff's officer who's on campus, the parent walks in because she wants to meet with her child's teacher. And the sheriff's officer comes to you and say, I have a warrant for her arrest. I need to arrest her. Well, first of all, principal, that's your campus, okay? You direct them how to operate on your campus, okay? So the situation was, we're going to bring the parent in, and we're going to bring the sheriff officer in, and then I'm going to be in there, and I'm going to bring one of my team leaders. I'm going to bring my assistant principal. I'm going to bring my instructional coach, because you are modeling for them how to treat your community. So the sheriff's officer says, ma'am, he says, I've had a warrant for your arrest, for a couple of months. I've gone out to the apartments and nobody opens the door. But I have a warrant for your arrest. In my direction to that parent and to that sheriff's officer, this parent is here to take care of the needs of her child. And the officer says, yes, ma'am, I understand. And we tell the parent, make sure you go to the sheriff's office downtown and make arrangements to tell them that you are going to take care of this issue. And we're going to let you go and meet with the teacher. And then when you leave, make sure you take care of that problem. What kind of relationship, what kind of community system did you just create? That brought about change. Don't you know that parent is going to go back to her community and she's going to say, that principal saved me. That team saved me, simply because of a community system. This is the way you bring about the change. This is the way you don't have to handle things daily. This is the way you are going to build future leaders. You are going to have a belief system. You're going to have a trust system. And you're going to have a community system. And don't forget about your stakeholders. Your businesses in the community, your small businesses, your medium-sized businesses, and your large businesses. They want to impact your school. They have things and money and resources they want to put into your school. And I'm not talking about pencils with their names on it, which is nice. I'm not talking about a t-shirt. I'm talking about something that is going to fit into your vision, where your students are first, where their education is first. For example, meeting with local engineers of large companies, and have them to work with your eighth graders who most of them are taking Algebra 1, and share some of the problems that you're having or that they're having on the job. And ask those engineers if they would work with these students to see if they could help figure those problems out. First of all, you've established a relationship within the community. Secondly, those engineers don't look like any of the children who are attending that school. Secondly, those engineers need to see that these children who don't look like me, who I have all this negative information about, these kids are really smart. They ask some good questions. They ask some things that we hadn't thought about ourselves. They ask us questions about standards and why aren't we following standards. So that is your community system. So as we go through our change, as we go through your change in culture, you have to have those three things in place. Did we have some issues along the way? Of course, you're going to have issues. But you as the leader is going to have to deal with those changes, learn from those changes, and then also grow from the people who are around you. Because, you as the principal, you don't know it all. Those team members are in places where you don't get to go. They hear conversations you're not going to hear. People tell them things that they're not going to tell you. You need your team. And once you get your team in place, and once you have trust, once you have belief, and once you have a system within your community, you're going to find that your school will be a success powerhouse. Now, I know some of you say, well, how can I do this? What information do I need to get from you? We can have a talk. It doesn't have to be a talk about me coming in or contracting with you. It can just be what we call a discovery talk. Because I know that as you struggle from day to day, that you need the kind of help that we have just talked about, that I've just talked about. My team and I can come in there, ask you questions, see what needs to be done, because you all want to succeed. We all want to succeed as principals. We all want our schools to be hallelujah success stories. But it comes through trial and error, and having someone on the side of you who can coach you, who has your particular needs at hand, and they understand exactly what you need. So you can contact me at barbararaypope.com, and I'm inviting you to join our Principals on the Come Up Facebook group, where these are the kinds of things that we talk about every week, every couple of days, about how you can transform your school into a hallelujah success story. We'll see you next time.